treat, what treatment he must use, and how much he will be paid. Because he went to school for 25 years and learned a specialty that any one of us might need to save our lives, he is to be made a slave of the government. Well, that just doesn't work. It's certainly unconstitutional, and it is just slavery. Now, if he laid on his back drinking beer for 24 years, he wouldn't be a slave, right? Because he didn't have anything useful to drink. So the guy I'm running against, he probably couldn't tell you what vitamin pill to take. He certainly couldn't do neurosurgery. But he can use government power to take the freedom of that doctor, just take his freedom, and enslave him and say, you will do this. Well, that's just not right in a free country. It's not right. And of course it doesn't work. What's that man going to do? Well, he may knuckle down and do it, or he may look for another country to do it in, or he may do neurosurgery in his spare time and go into some of the business. I mean, it depends on how much he values his freedom. So you have a system, you know it's a government bureaucracy, it'll be more inefficient, and it's going to cost trillions. You also know that bureaucrats are going to decide who will be sick and well. Well, this gives the power of life and death over each of us to the federal government. That's not what you do in a free country. It's not constitutional. Now, are people concerned about it? On the Bill London show, my opponent said, Bill London says, is that thing constitutional, the medical bill? And his reply was, well, Congress often does things of questionable constitutionality. I'm not a lawyer, that's what we have courts for. But his oath of office was to obey the Constitution of the United States. That's his job description. He should not have voted for that bill unless he knew it to be constitutional, because that's his job description. That's what he's sent to do. And it's obviously not. So, that medical care, we can ask whether it's better for the patient, it's not. We can ask whether it will be cheaper, it's not. But even if we squabble about that, it also enslaves the doctor, and that can't be viewed as right. Socialized medicine simply is not consistent with our free country. It's consistent with a socialist country. So if you want to give up our constitutional republic and become a socialist, or now they call it progressive country, then that's what you do. That's what socialist countries do.
How would you provide health care to those who don't have insurance and don't have the dollars to buy the insurance? Yeah, we've got millions of people stuck in this problem.
Right.
Or they got a fault that they cannot correct because the insurance companies are not people. How do we handle this problem?
Well, this is a problem. Now, the way it's being handled now, and you can always find a counterexample. Okay, the main way it's being handled now, and I'm not suggesting this is the whole thing, but the main way it's being handled now, if somebody goes to the medical system and has a problem, they will provide care and fix it. But after that, they will say, do you have the assets to pay us? And if you do, they'll take your asset. Right? And that, we have a home, and you have not gotten medical insurance, and you need $300,000 worth of medical care, and you don't have insurance, they'll take your home. That's right. Not always, because there are hundreds and hundreds of nonprofits that you can apply to for help, but not everybody gets help. That's why we, even when it's high cost, we pay for medical insurance, because my family knows what happens if I have a heart attack, and I need $500,000 worth of insurance work. Well, those could take our farm. So we can't afford that risk, so we insure ourselves. But many people feel they can't afford the insurance. Now, I think that, and the question is what to do about this. It is not, the solution is not to enslave the whole country with respect to medicine. One thing you have to realize is that they say they took 18% of our economy when they socialized medicine. It took about 10% of our economy, because the rest is government waste already. The government's in there meddling in it already. They won't allow insurance companies to insure people in other states, all this nonsense. But at base, no matter how well you do it, you'll still have the problem we mentioned. It'll always be there. If the country looked out at that and said, those people will help in some way, it's hard to oppose it. But it is not hard to oppose having the government take over everybody's medicine. If we look at it as a nation, and now you see this is where you get into local things. Think about it in another sense, that, anything else. This is a small town, you all know each other. So suppose some farmer down here breaks his leg, or something happens to him that is not his fault, he can't take care of his family. I'll bet you he'd be taken care of. in Cape Junction. And now, on the other hand, suppose some young guy decides he's just going to lay around and drink beer at home. Well, the community would know that, and they would say, get off the dime, we got some work over here to do that with you. So, at the community, because it's really, you're talking about a question of welfare. You're saying somebody gets into trouble, how do we fix it? And in general, well, in this country for most of its history, that's the way it was handled. My folks all came from several generations in Iowa, all small towns, almost all small towns, all small farming towns. And they handled these things on a case-by-case basis, right? Nobody starved to death, but that guy that should be working and isn't, food's about all he'd get. And the community would get together through its churches and public institutions and help other people a lot. I know a lady down in Cave Junction, she's on her own with 8 kids. There must be 10 men over there helping. And they're not all helping her because they're interested in her, they're all helping her because she's got 8 kids to raise. So most of these problems of welfare, where people get into trouble, not what they're making, are better handled at the local level. When you have them at the federal level, of course, you make these rules, one size fits all, and you have all this nonsense and waste. Still, medical expenses are a very, very high thing. So for some guy down the street having a heart attack, you go down and help his family, but the company pays $500,000 medical. You can't. So now the private medical industry does a lot, and then all these institutions that help people in that kind of shape do a lot. There's still people who fall through the cracks. And we might talk about a way to help them with public money. But it isn't taking the whole industry. Talk about something else.
In order to drive a car in this state and most every other state, we are required to have insurance. If you want to have anything else, why not have a requirement that you have health insurance with assistance for those who don't have the dollars, and another system to help those that are in between. You've got to change what's here, because medical community, we haven't served a lot of people broke yet. They're doing just fine. Not many doctors are broke either. Somewhere along the line, somebody's got to equalize this system where everybody can participate in the program and still not be destitute because of one illness. How do we get around this?
Well, as I say, if we let all of our private institutions work, I don't think it's a big problem, and it can be solved in some specific way. But the way is not to tell the IRS to check that all of us have bought the insurance the government demands, every one of us.
But how about the insurance company? Who's going to tell them that we need to have them?
Well, the insurance companies...
Instead of going to the Bahamas for vacation with the CEO.
No, wait a minute. The insurance companies, should be a free enterprise industry. If they provide insurance we want to buy, we'll buy it. If they don't provide, then a competitor. The demonizing of the insurance industry by saying, hey, everybody in the insurance industry is a demon and they're just profiting and going to the Bahamas, that's just not right. The insurance companies are run as normal businesses, and they take in premiums, and they have to make sure that the costs they pay out in medical care are a little less than the premium, so they make a profit to stay in business. Now, some of those companies are run badly. If they're run badly, the consumer is going to buy from somebody else. The government gets in there, and they prevent this. For one thing, they don't let them insure people in other states, so we got to have everything within the state. And the second thing is that the government tells them what the policies must say. When I buy insurance, my insurance has all kinds of things on it I don't even want to be insured against. But the government tells them to do this. This raises their costs. The cost of medical insurance are too high, partly because of the government. Now, I'm not here as an apologist for the insurance company. In fact, that medical bill was written largely in significant part by those insurance companies. Because what happens when the government does this, they all get together and the insurance